There's a moment every man faces, whether he knows it or not. It's when he realizes the woman in front of him isn't just smiling at him. She's measuring him. Every laugh, every accidental touch, every playful tease. It's not just flirting, it's a test. A test to see if you'll fold, if you'll chase, if you'll break. And most men fail without even knowing they were being tested in the first place. You see, most women, especially the ones who are used to attention, they live in a silent world of power, a power they don't even have to ask for. It's just given to them by men. Every time you reply too fast, every time you double text, every time you smile a little too eagerly just because she looked at you, you're feeding that power. And in her mind, she's in control now. You're no longer the man she wanted to explore. You're just another one orbiting around her, waiting for crumbs. But here's the secret most men never learn. Control isn't about dominating her. It's about redirecting the dynamic. It's about doing the one thing that shocks her nervous system. The one move that flips the entire script. It's when she thinks she's in control. Until you do this. Now, before I tell you what this is, I need to tell you why it works. And to do that, we have to go back. Not to modern pickup advice, not to TikTok relationship gurus, but to one of the oldest psychological truths about attraction. It's something Robert Greene hinted at in The Art of Seduction. He said, "The key to seduction is to confuse desire with danger. You make her feel safe, but never in control. She must always sense that you can walk away, that you have a hidden world she doesn't fully access, that she's seducing you, not the other way around." This flips everything. Because most guys approach women like supplicants. They ask for attention, approval, affection. But the men women crave, they behave like a mystery to be solved. Not a puzzle that's easy to crack, but a man who has depth, who chooses her, but never needs her. Let me give you an example. I had a friend, let's call him Marco. He's not rich, he's not tall, doesn't have the chiseled jaw or the perfect social media game. But women were magnetically drawn to him. Why? Because he didn't fall into the trap of trying to control the situation. Instead, he controlled himself. If a girl flaked on him, no drama. If she tested him with jealousy games or little power plays, he smiled and stepped back. And when she came running, which they always did, he never rewarded that behavior with praise or validation. He just kept being him, unshaken, unapologetic, unbothered. That's when I understood something. Women don't chase men who try to win them over. They chase men who anchor them emotionally, men who, in the midst of chaos, stay calm, who don't need to say, "I'm in control," because they embody it. And here's the first major move you make to flip that dynamic. Silence. Yeah, not a witty line, not some alpha comeback, just silence. You don't react. You don't fill the gaps. You let her wonder. You let her sit with attention. Because attention is power, and silence is its weapon. You want to break her illusion of control? Stop giving her instant gratification. She texts you something flirty? Don't reply instantly. Let the air breathe. Let her feel your absence. Let her question whether she's still the one leading this dance. That microdose of uncertainty triggers more interest than any compliment ever could. Psychologically, this taps into what evolutionary biologists call intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. When a woman can't predict your next move, when your attention is not a given, but a reward, her brain lights up. She starts thinking about you more, wondering, fantasizing, obsessing. But there's more. The second move? You disrupt the frame. Most guys walk into interactions inside her frame, her world, her energy, her rhythm. But the men who captivate her, who make her lose sleep thinking about them, they shift the entire atmosphere. Here's how you do it. Let's say she says something meant to test your ego. Something like, "You're cute, but I bet you say that to all the girls." A guy who's trying to impress her might defend himself, laugh nervously, say, "No, only to you." But the man who knows the game, he smirks. Maybe even looks away for a second, then says, "I say it when I mean it, whether it's one girl or 100. Why, you jealous already?" Boom. You didn't defend. You didn't justify. You flipped the frame, put her on the spot, and made her feel something unexpected. A spark, a twist. That's what she remembers. Seduction is not about logic. It's about interrupting patterns. Most women deal with the same predictable male behaviors every day. So when you show up and you don't play into that script, when you bring silence, self-possession, playful dominance, she doesn't know how to process it. And that confusion, that mystery, that's the crack where attraction grows. Now let's go even deeper. There's a tactic I call the vanishing echo. It's not ghosting. It's not playing games. It's the deliberate, temporary withdrawal of presence. You show up in her world like a wave, strong, confident, captivating, and then you pull back. Not because she did something wrong, not because you're trying to punish her, but because you're reminding her that your energy is not a constant. It's a privilege. This works especially well after you've shared a moment, a kiss, a deep conversation, a powerful connection. Because that's when she assumes she has you. That's when she starts to settle into the idea that you're hooked. And that's exactly when you vanish. Not rudely, not coldly, just enough to make her feel the space you used to occupy. That echo of your voice, your attention, your energy, it lingers. It makes her replay everything. Did she say too much? Did you feel something real? Is she losing you? And here's the psychological magic. People value what they fear losing. The absence makes the presence more powerful, and the more powerful your presence becomes, the more she starts to chase it. She thought she had control, until now. She thought she could predict you, but now she's spiraling, wondering what you're thinking, where you are, if she still matters. That's how you create gravity. Not by forcing attraction, but by becoming the center of it. And we're just getting started. There's something dangerous that happens when a woman realizes you're not dancing to her rhythm. It's subtle at first. A longer pause before she replies. A slightly more eager tone in her voice. Maybe she throws in a compliment she wouldn't have said a week ago, and that's because, for the first time, you're not reacting like the others. But here's the next layer. When a woman feels she's in control, she becomes passive. She waits. She enjoys the chase you're doing. But when she senses she might lose you, the game changes. Fast. Now she's leaning in. Now she's listening harder. Now, her emotions begin to do what her logic can't. They start to betray her. This is where the idea of emotional lead comes in. It's something most dating coaches never talk about, because it's not about surface-level tactics. It's not about what you say. It's about what you set. You create the emotional tone of the interaction. You dictate the depth, the mystery, the flavor of each moment, and she follows. Mystery is not silence alone. Mystery is precision. It's sharing the right detail at the right moment. Just enough to spark curiosity, but not enough to satisfy it. For example, when she asks about your past, most men dump their entire story like they're unloading a resume. But the seductive man? He gives just enough to make her wonder. I spent some time in Eastern Europe. Met a few people who taught me things I never expected. Changed how I see the world. That's it. No names, no cities, no drama. Just a hint. Now her imagination is doing the work for you. She starts to fill in the gaps, to fantasize, to project. And projection is the strongest seduction weapon there is. Because when a woman projects her own emotions into you, her curiosity, her excitement, her fantasies, it stops being about who you are and starts being about who she feels like around you. That's when the walls drop. That's when she stops trying to steer the interaction and starts surrendering to the experience. But there's another mistake guys make once they start seeing results. They start playing hard to get, instead of being truly hard to possess. There's a difference. Playing hard to get is reactive. It's a performance. You delay replies on purpose. You say no just to seem strong. But if she scratches beneath the surface, there's nothing there. That's fragile masculinity. Being hard to possess is real. It means you actually have a life, you have purpose, you have drive. You don't need her to complete you because you're already full. And that fullness, that sense of quiet power, is what keeps her coming back, again and again. And here's where another layer kicks in. Divided attention. Let me explain. Women are naturally wired to seek the center of attention. When they're around a man who gives them 100% focus all the time, they feel safe, but not challenged. They feel adored, but not desired in a way that makes them fight for it. But when you give her most of your attention and keep just a slice for something else, maybe your craft, your mission, even a thought you don't explain. It drives her wild, because now she's not sure she's the only thing on your mind. She wants to be, but you're not confirming it. That uncertainty, that slight tension, keeps her emotionally engaged. This is why seduction isn't always about what you give, it's about what you withhold, and how. There's a concept in improvisational seduction that I call controlled absence. You're there, but you're not fully there. Your eyes drift when she expects them to lock. Your thoughts seem elsewhere just for a second, during a moment of intimacy. Not enough to seem rude, just enough to make her crave your full presence again. When she gets it, it feels like a reward. That's how you condition emotional dependence without manipulation. You create contrast. Because the man who's always present, she gets used to him. The man who comes and goes like a tide, she never stops feeling him. And this is when her old control games start to crack. The ones where she used to pull back to test you, or flirt with other men just to watch you react. But you don't flinch, you don't chase. You let her do her little dance, and then you disappear for a bit. Maybe you're busy. Maybe you're with someone else. Maybe she just doesn't know. That's when she starts asking questions she used to make others ask. Where is he? Why hasn't he texted? Did I mess something up? Now she's spiraling. And the beautiful part? You didn't do anything to her. You just kept your center. This is what mystery does. It makes her mind more invested than her body. And once the mind is captured, the body follows. I want you to understand something critical here. And this is what separates the masters from the imitators. It's not enough to be unavailable. You have to be irresistible and unavailable. If you're just mysterious without depth, she'll lose interest. But if you trigger emotions, real, strong emotions, and then you pull back just enough, she'll follow you to the ends of the earth to feel that high again. It's pure neurochemistry. Dopamine gets released when pleasure is anticipated, not guaranteed. So if every interaction with you leaves a trace of possibility of what could happen, she gets addicted. You become the unsolved equation in her mind. And this doesn't require money, or looks, or status. It requires emotional leverage. That's the new currency. Let me give you another real-world example. There's a woman I knew, years ago. Brilliant, beautiful, used to men throwing themselves at her. The type who walks into a room and bends the mood just by being there. She tried her usual games, slow replies, subtle negs, flirtations with other guys in front of me, and I watched it all. Never disrespected her, but never reacted either. And then, one night, after a short, quiet conversation and a long look that lasted maybe 2 seconds longer than it should have, I walked away. Didn't message her the next day, didn't follow up. I let her sit with it. 3 days later, she called me at midnight, voice shaking. Said she couldn't stop thinking about me, that something felt different, that it wasn't like before. Of course it wasn't, because I wasn't playing her game. I had invited her into mine and didn't say a word about it. That's the essence of seductive control. You don't fight her for it, you don't demand it. You just show over and over that you never lost it. And when she realizes she was never really leading the dance, that's when she finally lets go and follows. We're nowhere near finished. There's something you need to understand about the feminine mind. It doesn't crave control because it wants power. It craves control because it wants certainty. Certainty that she's desired. Certainty that she's irreplaceable. Certainty that she holds some kind of emotional dominance. And that craving for certainty is your weapon. Not because you exploit it, but because you refuse to feed it completely. Every time you withhold predictable behavior, every time you remain emotionally unreadable just long enough for her to second-guess herself, you chip away at the illusion she had of running the show. You become, quite literally, the uncertainty her nervous system can't escape. And this isn't about being aloof. It's about being unavailable in layers. See, a man who's cold and distant all the time? That's boring. That's weak. It's a mask. But a man who gives warmth in controlled doses and who shows his intensity and then retracts like a wave pulling back, that man becomes unforgettable because she felt something real, and now it's gone. And now she's starving to feel it again. This leads us to one of the most powerful, most misunderstood tools in seduction: emotional imprinting. It's not about making her laugh. It's not about making her orgasm. It's about leaving a mark. A moment so emotionally distinct, so psychologically disorienting, that it burns itself into her memory. Something she didn't expect, something she can't explain, something she can't forget. And you can create this in the most ordinary moments. Let me show you. Imagine you're sitting with her in a car, music playing, a pause in the conversation. Most guys try to fill the silence. They crack a joke, change the subject, try to keep things light, but not you. You stay in that silence just a beat longer than she expects, and then you look at her, not with hunger, not with desperation, but with that calm, anchored gaze. The one that says you're fully here and fully in control of yourself. And then you say something completely unexpected. Not cheesy, not dramatic, just real. I don't need to know everything about you. Some parts of you are probably better left unexplained. You drop that and go silent again. What happens in her mind at that moment is not logical, it's emotional, deep. Now she's wondering what you meant. Now she's thinking about the parts of herself she hides. Now she's wondering if you saw something she didn't realize she was showing. You didn't flatter her, you didn't confess anything. You just touched her mind gently and walked away. That's an emotional imprint. That's a man she thinks about long after the night is over. And here's where it gets even better. Once she's felt that imprint, once she's tasted that blend of danger and safety, of mystery and warmth, you start using mirroring dissonance. This is next level. It means you show her pieces of herself in your presence, but only the ones that stir emotion. You echo her energy in small ways, only to break the rhythm when she tries to fall into comfort. Let's say she starts acting flirtatious and sweet. You mirror that for a while, playful, charming, soft. Then just when she leans in emotionally, you switch. You get quiet, grounded. You look her in the eyes and shift the tone. You introduce gravity into the space. Now she's off balance. She thought she was steering the vibe. She thought it was light and fun, until you introduced depth. Now she doesn't know if she's seducing you or being seduced herself. And that internal confusion, that's gold. Because feminine energy thrives in emotional motion. It's like wind. It doesn't want stillness, it wants flow. And when you control the flow, when you direct the pace, the depth, the contrast, she surrenders. Not because you asked her to, but because her nervous system needs it. Now let's talk about the most underestimated tool in seduction: pace disruption. You see, women, especially the attractive, high-status ones, are used to patterns. They've seen the same male behaviors so many times, they've built an emotional autopilot for how to respond. He compliments her? Smile, say thank you, raise the bar. He touches her? Lean in slightly but pull away first. He jokes? Laugh, then shift the attention back to herself. But when you come in and interrupt that rhythm, when you respond to flirtation with stillness, when you respond to teasing with complete emotional neutrality, when you don't give her what she expects, her system glitches. And when she glitches, she gets curious. When she gets curious, she starts investing. Let me show you something even more powerful. Something that doesn't just confuse her emotionally, but attaches her psychologically. It's what I call reverse investment anchoring. It's simple. You casually let her invest in you first. Not by asking her to, but by creating subtle moments where she offers value. She opens up about something personal, you receive it. But don't immediately return the favor. She brings you a drink or touches your shoulder first. You accept it, without reacting like a starving dog. She offers a compliment, you smile, but don't return one right away. And then, later, when the energy shifts and she least expects it, you give something back. Not because she earned it, but because you chose to. Maybe it's a genuine compliment. Maybe it's a deeper story from your past. Maybe it's physical intimacy. Now, because she invested first and you rewarded her later, her brain links those actions together. She thinks, I opened up, and then I felt something real from him. That cause and effect loop becomes powerful. She starts believing, subconsciously, that her behavior can pull emotion out of you. And because your emotions are rare and controlled, they become priceless. That's the dynamic shift that makes her stop playing games. That's when she starts chasing. That's when she stops thinking she's in control and starts wanting to surrender. And brother, we're still not done. Here's the truth most men never get told. Women don't fall for you because you're the nicest, or the richest, or the most logical option. They fall because they feel something around you that they can't access anywhere else. That calm tension, that subtle dominance, that electric pull between curiosity and surrender. When she feels that around you, her mind tries to resist, her ego tries to fight it. But her body and her instincts keep circling back. Because you're no longer just a man to her, you're an experience. And the more carefully you control that experience, not by acting, not by manipulating, but by knowing yourself, the more she loses her grip on that illusion of control she used to weaponize. You're not chasing anymore. You're not reacting. You're not trying to impress her. You've stepped into your frame. You've mastered presence. And now, she's responding to you. The little power games she used to play, they crumble. Because your value doesn't depend on her approval. She can't use attention to control you. She can't use silence to test you. You own the silence. You direct the tension. You don't fill the space. You become the space. This is what it means to make her believe she's in control. Until you do this. Until you show her, without a single word, that you're a man who can't be predicted, controlled, or replaced. You become the kind of man who lingers in her thoughts, the kind of man she tries to figure out, the kind of man who, even after she walks away, stays with her. Because that's what real seduction is. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's not desperate, it's quiet power, it's strategic presence, it's psychological gravity. And now that you understand that, it's time to step into it. So if this message hit something in you, if it made you rethink your approach, if it gave you the tools you wish you had years ago, don't just scroll past. Take a second to interact. Drop a comment and tell me which part opened your eyes, or what you've seen women do when they think they're in control. Hit the like so more men can hear this and stop playing by the old rules. And if you're serious about becoming the man who flips the script, then subscribe, because this is just the beginning. You were never meant to chase. You were meant to lead. With silence, with depth, with fire.